Hi everyone, we are here on the grounds of the Stratford Perth Museum. Now the museum itself isn't quite open yet, but the grounds are, including the Thomas Orr Trail. I'm here with summer students, Hannah and Ethan, who are here through the Canada Summer Jobs program, and are going to tell us a little bit about the trail and about some of the activities going on at the museum. So Hannah, I'll start with you. Tell us about the Thomas Orr Trail. What is it?
Amazing. It is a chronological trail about Stratford. And it's about 10 minutes, and it's a really lovely walk. If you can see behind us, we have a storm pond, which does in fact look really pretty in the sun. I know the sun isn't out today, but it's a gorgeous trail, and we get plenty of deer, and it's just a really nice summer walk if you're looking for something to do.
Now along the walk, there's a number of different placards that talk about our local history. So Hannah, tell us a little bit about this stop along the way.
So this is our plaque explaining the railroad boom of the 1950s in Stratford. And basically this was like the biggest industry boom in Stratford. I believe at the time there were about 4 to 6 different railway stations in town, and they were all doing trains all the time. If you put that in perspective, we have one now and we have one train, but and there was also the large train fixing building, which was on the Cooper site, which is in town today. And there were women who worked there in the war effort, and there's lots of history there, and it was definitely a prosperous thing for Stratford.
So here another stop along the walk, and Ethan, tell me a little bit about this stop.
Yeah, so this is talking about our manufacturing here, and the railway actually brought a lot of the economy boom here in Perth County, including Maxwell's, which was a thriving business that was a result of the railway that it was introduced here. It produced a lot of consumer goods like washing machines, stoves, lawnmowers. There's also companies in Listowel, Morris Pianos, furniture companies, so it really started just the influx of consumer goods here.
Now, of course, long before any Europeans settled in this region of Canada, we know that Indigenous populations were here for millennia. So Hannah, tell us a little bit about what we know about the Indigenous population here in what is now Perth County.
Mm-hmm. Well, we just have this plaque to kind of highlight the Indigenous people who lived on this land before we did, because it is very important, especially these days, to acknowledge that this is not our land. And we live here, and we are grateful that we live here.
So I know we're in July, and no one wants to think about winter, but wintertime, what's the options here at the trail? What can be done here on the trail during the wintertime?
We actually do quite a few things on this trail in the wintertime, mainly being snowshoeing and some cross-country skiing. It's a beautiful trail to go on, and it's quite a bit of a trek when you get up to that area, so it's quite fun in the winter.
So last question for both of you. You've been at the museum now for a few weeks. What's the most interesting or surprising thing you've learned about our local history while working at the museum?
That's a really good question. I loved learning about the railroad boom. I talked about it earlier, but we have a large exhibit in the museum for the railway, and it's been really interesting and fun kind of learning more about that as I've been working.
So Ethan, same question to you. What's the most interesting, surprising thing you've learned so far at the museum?
So I think it's two things for me. One is how many artifacts we actually have in storage ready to go. There's a lot that's donated here, and it's just incredible the amount of artifacts that are actually given to us and are part of Perth County's history. And the other thing is how much work actually goes into these exhibits. You know, you see an exhibit and it's kind of just looks like you put something in a glass cage, but there's actually a lot of time and effort that goes into writing everything and putting on display and positioning. So it's just really the work ethic of people here is great.
And finally, I'm here with John Kastner, General Manager of the Stratford Perth Museum. John, what's something that we can expect this summer once the museum reopens?
Well, despite the fact we've been closed since December, we're really quite excited about the rest of this year and the start of 2022. We've secured the traveling exhibit from the Anne Frank House in Amsterdam, and we're going to have it here from now when we open until March break of next year. It came from the museum in Ottawa directly to us, and it's the only place on Canada's display from now until next year. Amazing. In addition, we've got the Tom Patterson Exhibit, which we were going to have in 2020, but because of COVID, we've delayed it till this year. And that's we've timed that to coincide with the opening of the Tom Patterson Theatre. And one of the questions we thought was, for a lot of people, who was Tom Patterson? And that's the name of that exhibit. And then, of course, the other thing is, thanks to great community support as well as the federal government and a lot of our membership and skilled trades in Perth County, we're opening our Players Backstage, which will open the end of this month. and a great new venue for us. It's going to be well used not only by us but a lot of our other partners. So despite the fact that we've been closed for 6 months, we're pretty excited about the next 6 months and the next 6 years.
Absolutely. So anyone who's looking for a staycation idea, the Stratford Perth Museum is the place to be.